Hey guys, it's Galvin. We're getting ready to go to Duluth. We're probably gonna leave in like an hour and 15-ish minutes. I just want to go over the premium deck list that we're using. This is pretty much just Commander Jaime's list with a couple of cuts because I either don't have pieces or they just didn't come in time. So starting with the Great Threes, we'll start here. We've got two copies of Cecilia Reverse. We're waiting on two copies. We were waiting on two copies. They did not come in. So we're gonna try and get those at Duluth. Unfortunately, because we don't have them yet. We do have just flipped in here. We do have two copies of Vera. We don't really care about Vera too much. Um, is impossible to read. Pretty much, he cares about Saul. Um, he just gets he just transfers his crits elsewhere. So if you're writing this, um, and you hit a crit, well, okay, cool. Otherwise, it's pretty much useless. We don't care. We don't care. Um, this if I need to buy another deck set to find my other two copies of Cecilia Reverse, we literally just have to do that because the game is not playable otherwise. We have our four OG Cecilia for the write up. Um, with the crest, these become 23, and if they're called from deck, they're 23, and we draw a card. So that's a lot of extra deck filtering, and it's some extra card draw. And then we have our two copies of Rotting Airship Dragon. So when we're doing our rewrites with Cecilia, or even to OG Cecilia using Cecilia's skill, um, we get these just call themselves for free. And then we have more things to swing, retire, and extend from there. Just very good value, very good value. We've got our four copies of Soul, Soul Blast, check top three, and call a unit. And if it's a trigger, we can counterblast to kind of force that trigger to go through. Super helpful for finding the Musketeer crits, which we'll talk about later. Or just in general, like if you see this defensively, because this is on place, and we have like Rain Breath Dragon. So if we see like over trigger, we can force place the over trigger and kind of not lose, which is pretty nice. We got four copies of Cecilia. These build boards early, and then we can kind of make. Sometimes we can Katrina on our first stride, depending on how many plants we make between Ruth and Sylvia. Um, we currently have three copies of Torre, which is just Saul, but it costs a counterblast. Um, but we might be able to find two things if they're both musketeers. The one of these is probably going to get swapped for the twin cast, but that's in the standard deck right now, so we can't have it in both spots. And then we have the two of Favela. So this gives us resist. If we call this with like Katrina's skill alongside a Cecilia Reverse, we give both resist, and that just prevents our opponents from trying to like tuck our front row rear guard into soul, preventing the lock and the reride. So just making sure that we can actually get that off. Um, without any issues. For the grade ones, we're playing four copies of Ruth. I wanted to play a copy of Susana, Soul Blast 2 to countercharge 2, but it didn't get here in time. So Ruth, still very good, even as a 4 of. Uh, Still, when it or something else called from deck retire itself and countercharge 1, that's pretty good. And when riding, we get plants, and if we're second, we actually get two plants, and that's its own column, so that's pretty good. We have a 4 of Maiden of Sweetberry. And this is all the promo version because we wanted I want to say the G series one, and that didn't come in time either. So because I had ordered 4 of each just in case. This one's still very good. You pick something and you go find another one, and then this shuffles itself back. So still pretty good. Helps us set up on especially on our ride up turn. We can set up some things to do cool things. Here's an Elementaria. Obviously we're running the triple drive one just because it's premium. Wouldn't we run the triple drive one? Um, because it's free. And then we have our one of Hanalei, which we can call with either Katrina, or if we have it in hand, we can call it with Rain Breath on our opponent's turn and kind of try and disrupt them. And if we call it with Rain Breath, it gets resist. So very helpful, very helpful. And we can always bind it to make it so only our opponent has to worry about it. For triggers, 4 of the Musketeer crits. They're only 10k shields and 5k power. But when they're called from deck by skill of a Musketeer, I believe. Yeah. Oh, it's just placed on rear guard by a Musketeer. You get to countercharge too, which is kind of insane. Allows you to kind of do like Saul things where you can have the crit to pressure, but then not really lose the CB. You're still gaining CB, so it's very good. Um, the 4 of grade 3 heal, very important. Obviously, early game we can get something like -2 crit, so not have to worry about the damage. Or obviously G Guardians are sick. And we can ping ourselves if we have no CV. If somebody tries to damage deny us, we can ping ourselves just by calling it, so we can get the loop started. Um, we got the 4 stride crits. Probably that's still pretty standard, right? We need things to discard. We have the rotting Ursuf dragon to discard, but we don't necessarily want to be discarding. If we don't have that, we don't really want to be discarding actual units, so we'd rather discard that. And then we had our 3 draw PGs because we're running the Elementarius, so we can't run 4. Good draw. Obviously PG good, and then our 1 of blessed favor. So that's the main deck, and obviously we've got the Musketeer named starter, which does come up. It did come up in a goldfish where I needed 5 things. And I only had 4, but I was able to soul blast the Musketeer out. Well, I had already soul blasted the Musketeer out. For the G Zone, obviously our 1 of Harmonics Messiah, because we would really, really like the Guardian Shield. If we're going second, we have the 3 of Ride Up Musketeer. We need 1 to stride into, 1 to flip for the ride up, and then 1 to flip for the skill. So these are all Musketeers in name, so they all count. So that works. That's its own thing, and we're only planning on going into it once. The deck set comes with 4 of the write up and 2 of the OG. The OGs don't do anything, so we could just cut those and just flip the normal ones. We could technically play 2 and 1, but it's the same thing. Obviously, our 1 of Katrina. Katrina is limited, so we can only play the 1. This is our kill turn. If we get to this and we have some amount of things flipped in the G zone, this just kind of wins the game. We have the 2 of Lieta, and we just picked these up. This is Counterblast, and choose a face down card with the same name as this unit from the G zone and flip it. So that's why we have 2, so we can flip the other one for the effect. And then we put a card from hand to soul, and this now has the name of everything in soul. So that's pretty cool. And we can actually call cards equal to the number of things in our G zone +1, or flipped things in G zone +1, that have the same name as this. So whatever's in soul, we just go find those, and we can go from there. Sorry, that was a phone call. Our 2 of Ladislava. Ladislava is pretty nice. We can discard cards, search for more cards. This can allow us to, if we have like a Cecilia in our hand, we can discard it, go find 2 Cecilia, and then like go from there. Or we can set up the restand effect. So it says, say, counterblast if we have 2 regards of the same name, and we restand them. Testing. Okay. Sorry, I got interrupted. So, Ladislava, let's just go get 2 things, restand a column, which is pretty nice, because then actually, if we have a column over here, we can actually swing this column, swing Ladislava, counterblast, stand it again, and then when we stand our Cecilia Reverse column, or when we swing this, when they at the end of that battle, it can still lock these two units because even though we swung with them, because Ladislava stood them again. So we can kind of get an extra attack out of it that way. Um, then we got some stuff that we don't really care a whole lot about. Sandrine is just big things. This is in the G zone. We can flip this. Or not flip this, but we can stride this from the G zone by retiring 2 tokens instead of actually discarding a grade 3. And if we do that, then this actually gets 10k and a crit, so it's a little bit more powerful. That's just a panic button. If for some reason we have plants and Katrina is not a good idea, or we already used Katrina, we can, and we have no hand, we can still stride, which is very nice. And then we have Flower Princess of Candor. We probably don't care about this. This is getting swapped out for Cycloned like ASAP. It has a GV8 skill. When it attacks a Vanguard, return 3 normal units from drop to deck. Choose one of your units. Search for up to 3 units with the same card name. Call them a rear guard. And they all get plus 10k. So for each unit. So like, yeah, that's like a powerful effect. But like, what are we calling? Are we calling like OG Cecilia, and we're going like 1, 2, 3, and then they all get like 30k, and then draw 3 cards? That's a thought, but pretty much like that's way too late in the game to be relying upon. We've got our 2 of Robertina. Robertina is a countercharger, big shields, and it also can return Cecilia Reverse to deck if we've soul blasted them, or if we need to return something else like Saul, or we can do that as well. We've got our Musketeer G Guardian Ontero. If we have a lot of rear guards, this is same thing for Soul Blast. It gets big. This is not online as much as we'd like, but we can stride into this, and this does count as a face-up musketeer for the write-up purposes. Colburn is probably going to get swapped out for Rain Breath, but it does work. Discard a card, and we get +5 for every 2 cards in opponent's hand. So later on in our opponent's turn, especially if they've been restanding rearguard, or I mean restanding Vanguard, we can actually get a good amount of shield out of this, but that's kind of all it does. Rain Breath, pretty cool. We can call something like Connolly from hand and give it resist. So somebody like Hari can't tuck into Soul, or Narukami can't like do weird things. And also we can call something like Saul, try to find a trigger and give us some sort of guaranteed power boost if we do this early. So trying to see if we can get a 2 of that, but we don't have it yet. So this is the list as is. It's not particularly great because we're just missing a lot of pieces. But assuming we find the two Cecilia Reverse, it at least works, right? We can at least play the game. So that's the important bit. So this is already sleeved up, and we're gonna put it in the box, put it in the bag, and we're gonna head out. We got now an hour before we gotta leave. So see you at Duluth.